I'm Neelima. I coach professionals to increase their capacity and effectiveness, be visible, valued, and rewarded, and be the leaders they want to be. In this 10th episode of the series, Leading with Purpose, my guest is Poornima Garg. She is the country director of Room to Read India, an international nonprofit working in the areas of early grade literacy, gender equality, and girls' education. Poornima aspires to break barriers that hinder girls' educational aspirations and encourage a world where every girl can learn, lead, decide, and thrive. Poornima is also a compassionate mentor, life coach, a TEDx speaker, and a firm believer in individual potential for meaningful change. Welcome, Poornima. Thank you for joining Leading with Purpose.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
I'm very excited about today. Shall we dive right in?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, all right. So, Poornima, if you had to speak about yourself in 5 sentences, what would you say?
Well, I would say that I'm a feminist, a visionary leader, and I'm committed to really positively influence the lives of children, especially girls through education. Used only 3 sentences, but yeah, that's what really defines me.
Right. So, I saw your profile. I went through it, and something struck me. In the initial 9 years of your career, you changed 4 jobs, and for the last 13 years, you've been with Room to Read. So tell me, what has worked in the last 13 years versus whatever was happening in the first 9?
So I would rather prefer to answer this question in a slightly different way. Corporate life versus social sector life. Couple of things that happen generally in your life. One, I would not say there was anything missing that I found in this job. I was always a person who really worked in an organization till the time I felt that I'm able to grow, I'm able to learn. So every time I felt that I'm not able to learn anything new, I left and moved on to another. There were times in my career, in my corporate life, I went back to the same organization. So I have had those stints as well. In Room to Read, in all these 13 years, I did not feel there was a single day. There was no dull day in my life, first of all. And the second important thing is that every day I'm learning something. So a few things that kind of, and from a corporate to a social sector, I would say the corporate sector is, while it is fast paced, but I would not say that the social sector is slow paced. Social sector is very deep. So, you need that moment of reflection. You need that moment to really dive deep into the things. Probably on the surface, people might find it to be slow, but it's very intense. So that's where, when you in fact want to do a deeper sense of work, this is where, a lot of job satisfaction happened for me. And probably I keep saying that to many people, I can retire from the sector.
I understand that you moved from HR to becoming a head of the unit now. How was that transition? Tell me about what you had to learn, unlearn. Tell me about the journey.
So it is the most beautiful journey I've ever had, I would say. I honestly didn't vision to be the country head, for that matter. What I was doing constantly was, hopping on my people management skills, understanding people's strengths, really working on the communication. And that's where I kind of kept working on. And somewhere during that journey, um, all these skills became my own strengths to be able to lead organization as big as almost 500 people here in the country. So that kind of really worked out well. And you as a leader, when you are a people's person, and when people are comfortable reaching out to you, when people have trust in you, that's when you are able to take that baton ahead of you.
Mhm. What are some of the challenges that you face as a leader in social sector?
Well, I would say challenges are not necessarily very different from social sector or a corporate sector, so to say. But largely, the challenges that at a leadership level, most of the time that we face are around, the change management, the adapting to change is one biggest challenge that at an organization level one faces with dynamic markets, with technological advancement, with shifting stakeholder needs. Of course, it requires a lot of agility and flexibility. That's one area that as an organization, and even myself, I would say, is one of the constraints that you always deal with on an everyday basis. Then I would say leadership quality, and to maintain that leadership quality is um, another area or a crucial area for any effective leadership for an organization, because otherwise it will hinder the decision making, communication, overall performance, I would say. And then belongingness and inclusion is another key area that I have always felt can be a constraint for any organization, because unless you're fostering an inclusive environment where everyone feels valued, uh, it becomes a hygiene issue in a time like these, and lack of belongingness can lead to disengaged and higher turnaround. And if you are an organization that's people centric and you are in business of knowledge management, it's extremely important that people feel engaged, people feel belong, people feel included. So those are top level challenges that I would say that at an organization level, I would have dealt with, or would have, you know, been dealing with. I would say it's a journey.
And that's quite a bit. What helps
It is.
you, stay centered and deal with them?
See, I would say it is the focus that kind of, the focus to the quality of the work that you want to do, the quality that you want to bring in terms of the leadership, that is extremely, extremely important. And to deal with things like this, I think one most important thing is the consistency. So as you're not losing the focus, just not on the problem, but also not losing the focus on the bigger picture. And how these small things, as they might sound, but how intricate they could be for a larger strategic visioning of the organization. So I would just say that the focus to address the problem, to look at the solution, keeps you sane all the time.
So I've spent a large part of time in corporate sector, and like you said, the challenges are not very different.
Yeah.
Focus is what is important. Often, the in corporates at least, results get the most focus, right?
Yeah.
And then there are, cultural initiatives that kind of keep getting revived because there is that fallout. Tell me how it pans out in an organization like Room to Read.
See, for Room to Read or any other organization in the social sector, what stands out is the impact that you have created on the field. impact that you have created for your stakeholders, be the beneficiaries, the donors, the governments that you work for, the community that you are serving, basically. So I would say that, as I was mentioning earlier, the work is much more deeper. It's a very deep layer. It's not the tip of the iceberg, but a very deep down work that you have done. So what stands out for organization like ours or any other working in the social sector is the impact that you have created. It's just not the outcome, or the output that's been done from the work, but the long-term impact, the positive influence that you would have created on people's life, that's what matters and that's what stands out.
Um, I was recently talking to somebody who is also a leader in the social sector. She said something which, kind of shook me a little. And her statement was that she's able to do what she does because her partner takes care of the money that the family needs. And my question to you is, for people who aspire to make an impact and work in the social sector, what are the compromises that they should be willing and ready to make when they join?
So, first of all, I would like to break the myth that the social sector would not be able to pay you. The social sector has evolved in last 25 years, I would say. The way it used to be, working, it's much more professional. There are, if you see that there are performance-based fundings now, there are outcome-based fundings now. So the social sector has 360-degree evolved, I would say, in last 25 years. It's not same. It is as professional as any corporate sector. You need good communication skills. You need good writing skills. You need you can't be just hired because you have passion towards making an impact, but you need to have those hard skills. You need to be doing everything else like in any other corporate job. That's first myth that I wanted to break, that this is a good paying sector and people who are willing to really make their career into a social sector, they must take that leap of faith. There is a lot of success here. There's a lot of job satisfaction here, I would say. Secondly, if you talk about some of the compromises people should be willing to make, I would say there are no compromises if you're really passionate about your job. But from my personal experience, if you ask me what are some of the compromises I would have made, I would say they were not compromises, they were adjustments that I might have made even if I was working in any other sector, which was that, and probably this is because I'm a woman, sometimes childcare becomes the responsibility of women. So, so you'll have to kind of really have a great support system to be able to go out, because in social sector, if you really want to be working at a grassroots level, if you're really wanting to be close to the field, unless you want to be in a white collar job, which is also there in social sector, it entails a lot of travel. It entails long travel days to the field. So sometimes your personal life can take a toll because for how long you can be away from your home. So to do the back end management, you will have to, of course, realign and see how best to manage it. But at the end of it, it's a choice that people make, and what is more closer to their heart. So that's some level of adjustment, I would say. Rest, I don't see any compromises here.
You're very delicately spoken about the back end adjustments, and there is that emotional adjustment because, it's relationships at the end of the day, and you would want to do justice to them.
Yeah, you do want to do. I can just share an example with you. Room to Read works on developing literacy skills for grade 1 and grade 2 children. And, probably it's also at the juncture of your life where you are. My daughter, who's 16, when she was young, I was able to kind of, um, take some of the learnings from my organization to her, and I really helped her. Now, given my role has now enhanced with my son, who is young and who's only 7 right now, um, I teach everything to children in grade 1 and grade 2 in the government schools, but my own child doesn't get to know them because I am not able to do that kind of an investment with him. So probably those are some of the compromises I would say that you'll have to have a partner or someone who you could lean on to be able to fulfill those roles. Of course, emotional roles no one can fill as a mother, as a parent, but at the same point in time, these are the adjustments I would say people do make in all sort of jobs.
Yeah, I agree. So you were talking about all the skills that people need. Uh, so what do you look for when you hire for Room to Read beyond the hard skills?
So, well, like I told you that the sector has evolved in last 25 years. The first skill that I would look for is the agility or the adaptability and the collaboration. Because, these are two skills that stand out. Given the kind of work that one does, it is not a work to be done in isolation. And if you create those silos around you, you probably cannot succeed because it is not one man show. So you need to collaborate, you need to be agile. So if I give you example of COVID time, we have had the maximum student learning loss during that time. So, the organizations had to be agile to be able to adapt the school-based programs into digital programs. So agility is one important thing. And given the sector is evolving, it's important that you keep the agility level really, really high so as people are able to, adapt to different situations. They are able to adjust to changing circumstances and make more informed decisions.
How might you gauge that?
Well, you gauge that through their experience, how well they have worked in cross-functional teams, how well they are able to adapt to difficult situations. And of course, you do that through different interviews, through their backgrounds of the work that they have worked upon, or probably, asking them related questions. Recruitment is not necessarily a science, but an art to gauge people how well they will be able to work upon. So you gauge them through their past experiences, giving them different situations to respond on. But this is, I would say, agility and collaboration to me are basic hygiene skills, especially for someone being in a middle management or a high management position.
Okay. Often when I speak to corporate leaders, they speak about the skills shortage. And what is your experience?
Skill shortage is not only limited to corporates. I mean, see, I'll tell you, in India, we keep hearing that there are job challenges. So many people are qualified, but then there's so many vacancies as well. Then there are not so many jobs as well. Now, I think what is more important is that to really look at a skill mapping. And probably what is available as a pool, a talent pool to you vis-a-vis what your requirements are they really marrying up? Are you as an organization willing to invest in capacity building of people, to looking at professional development of people? This remains a key focus area for us, I would say. It continues to be because, if I take example of Room to Read in past years, we've been hiring a lot of people who have strong background on implementation of the programs. But in recent strategic changes that we have made to the organization, we are now moving more into system strengthening and government policy influencing kind of role. And these are absolutely two different set of skill sets that you would need. So I would just say that a skill mapping and the organization's commitment to do the capacity building of people is extremely important. And that's where I can draw a difference between a corporate or a social sector, whereas social sector is slightly bit more open and willing to invest in capacity building of people even at the start stage. So this is where it makes a difference.
And you say that social sector is more willing and open to do this investment. Does it stem from the need, or does it stem from the philosophy of the sector?
I would say the latter. It is the ethos of the sector, I would say. If you look at the sector, if we let's understand a slight background about the sector. It's a social sector. It's a sector that wants to make difference to the community it belongs to. And the idea is not to create any parallel systems or ghost systems. It's to strengthen the current system that is available, either in, if you work in Africa, you work in Asia, you work in whichever continent. But the idea is to give back to the society. The idea is to be able to make the programs or the initiatives sustainable even beyond the organization exist from that. So what is more important is that the sustainability is only dependent if your local communities are capacitated. So I would say it is the ethos or the value system of the sector, whereas, there's a larger commitment in terms of strengthening the community level engagement by either hiring local people or people from the community, or being able to really train and groom people. So I would say it is the latter part.
Poornima, and this is really my last question. I ask this to everyone. What is your advice to people who want to become leaders like yourself in the social sector? What are the actions that they can take to succeed in social sector?
See, I would say, one piece of advice, if I have to really give, whether it is, and it's again, social sector is not a sector where only youth enters the workforce. Anybody can enter it at any stage. To be a successful worker or a leader in social sector, I would say you have to face these setbacks and remain resilient. That is the key, I would say. You will have to learn from your failures. That also means that you don't have to fear to get failed. And the sector is more open to allow failures. You can learn from your failures, adapt them, and keep moving forward. And that is what matters, I would say. If you continue doing that as a pattern, success will just follow you. So that's one piece of advice I can really give to anyone.
So failure is feedback. Just keep being persistent.
Yes.
All right, Poornima. Thank you. Thank you, Poornima. This was really beautiful. Thanks for your time, your inputs. I loved the conversation. And Poornima had some wonderful things to say. I would love to hear your feedback on, if you have any other questions, if there are any other insights you're looking for. Thank you. Thank you once again, Poornima.
Thank you, Neelima.